Hello, welcome, it's great to see you. I hope you are doing well. It has been far too long. I did film this before Christmas, but things got very busy, so I'm here sharing it with you now. This is the double suitcase tutorial. This one is actually by Bambidearr, and I went on there with full intentions to use her tutorial to create this and be done, but I had some A4 card that I wanted to use. So you can see here that I like to use the A4 card as a base and then put my pretty card on top. It makes it more sturdy and it means you use less of your pretty papers. So I went on there thinking I could just change the measurements ever so slightly and it would be fine. Turns out that's not the case. I ended up with my whole own tutorial to share. So definitely heavily inspired by Bambidearr, so I'll have her linked down below. But if, like me, you would like to use your A4 card up, this is the tutorial for you. So starting off, we are just cutting 2 pieces of green card. This card is from Hobbycraft. It comes in all different shades of green. So I've got it, I say in green, it comes in all different colours, but this is the green pack. They have red, pink, green, I think purple, blue. I think they come in all of them, but it gives you different shades of each colour, which I really love. So this is the green one. You will have seen the sizes pop up on screen. I can't remember what they were exactly, so please do refer to that. And then I'm just showing you how I'm cutting the slits in here so that this folds into our first little suitcase compartment. So I'm just cutting like a little tiny slither off. So straight up, on one of the score lines, and then next to it just a teeny tiny little V kind of shape. You can see here what I'm doing. And that way it doesn't hang over as much at the top when you put it together. Do make sure you're squaring your corners though. I made this mistake and I ended up having to trim a bunch off. So I'm also using some wet glue and some double-sided tape for this. I did consider hot glue, but it never sticks right. I need slightly more time to square the corners, I find. So if you use a piece of double-sided tape in the centre, that holds it temporarily while your wet glue dries, and I find that to be the perfect combo. So I just go ahead and attach all 4 of these corners. It doesn't really matter which side is overlapping which. And I should mention that I was actually gifted this collection. So this is from Rosie Studio. It's the Full of Wonder collection. I don't think my code with them still works. I will check for you. But I do know that they have 80% off of all of their Christmas stuff at the moment, which is a great deal. So I definitely recommend heading over there and doing a little bit of late Christmas shopping. Just going ahead and still attaching all of these. I know some people like when I leave this in, so that you can see my complete process. So let me know if you prefer that, or if you'd rather I just skipped ahead once I've shown you once. So I'm going to magically jump ahead and create 2 of these. So the one in my hand and then another one. I'm just trimming off that excess I mentioned earlier because I didn't square my corners properly. And then once I've got the 2, I will go ahead and make the hinge to stick them together. So like magic, there's the 2. This is the We Are Memory Keepers cut and scoreboard. I am very new to having an affiliate link with them, which I'm super excited about. So again, there will be a link in the description for that one. If you use that link, I believe you get 10% off of certain things. So definitely worth having a look on there as well. This cut and scoreboard I've used right from the beginning. You will have seen this in every one of my videos right from way back when. And I'm just making the hinge part here. So again, the measurements would have popped up on screen for you. And then I have just scored it in the middle, folded it in half. I mean, you could skip scoring it in the middle and just fold it in half, but I had the board out anyway, so why not? Using my trick again of putting some double-sided tape to hold it momentarily while the wet glue dries. And then literally just sticking it on to sandwich those pieces together like this. And you can see that creates the hinge so that your suitcase will open, and then you've got the 2 sections, one either side, to fill with all of your goodies. I know that glue dries clear, so I'm not too worried that you can see it slightly on the bottom there. Moving on to reinforcing the boxes. So you need 8 of these teeny tiny pieces. These ones, again, measurements are on screen for you. These ones just reinforce the corners. So I know on her tutorial she does cut like little, or what would you call it, where you like taper, she tapers the edges. I've made mine slightly smaller so I don't bother with that, but you absolutely could if you like the look of that. So 8 of these tiny pieces. Then we are simply going to fold them in half and pop them into each of the corners on each of those boxes. So 4 corners on each box, 8 corners. And I'm using wet glue for that. I'm going to use wet glue. I think the hot glue makes it a bit too bulky. That's just personal preference. You might love hot glue for this project. I also could have used tape, but I'm in a wet glue era, wet glue phase right now. In fact, my sister bought me the, is it My Sweet Petunia? I think that's correct. The little like glue squeezer thing for Christmas, and I'm in love. You can see this is filmed pre-Christmas because I'm not using it, and now I wouldn't be without it. You can also see that I have to shake the bottle 100 times before anything comes out, and that is totally mitigated with this new little gadget that I've got. Lots of folding and scoring and repeating things. Grabbing out my board again. These are the fun paper pieces for the front and the back of the suitcase. So this one is Rosie Studio, Full of Wonder. This is sort of like a 12 Days of Christmas themed collection, or at least that's what I'm getting from it. And this paper is what gives me that impression. So this one has the like the Lords Leaping and the, what else was on there, like the turtle doves and all that sort of stuff. And it's got some really pretty ornaments and trees and things as well. Then I am choosing a cardstock for each of the sides. You will see what I mean momentarily, but these measurements are to do the edges of the boxes of each box. So you will have 4 on each one. Total of 8 pieces. I did put the measurements on the screen there for you. I find it easier to have them written down. I don't know why, I've always found it easier to have them written down. And then I do go ahead and stitch all of these. I'm not sure if I show you that or if I just turn up and they're all magically stitched. But these are all of my pretty paper pieces. So I went for this red with a lovely, it's like a darker red pattern on it. I really enjoy that one. And then the 12 Days of Christmas paper. There it is, all stuck together. So I just used double-sided tape to pop those on after I'd stitched them on my machine. This is to make the little bands that go around the suitcase. So this gold foil card is just A4. It says 11.5 because that's exactly what would fit inside this piece that I'm making now. These sort of lay on top of each other. But the A4 was fine. So that works in case you're wondering. Here we go, 3 of each of those. Then on to, am I cutting? Yeah, I'm cutting the smaller ones. So you'll need 2 of these. And another 2 of the gold. I'll show you momentarily what I mean. I'm sort of layering one on top of the other. You don't have to do this, I just thought it looked cute. I think it makes the straps stand out slightly, which I like. And I do love a bit of gold foil card at Christmas. Gold foil or gold glitter, something like that. So I'm going to start off with the smaller pieces. So this gold, and I've got the green going on top there. For the smaller ones, I just make the ends match and that's fine. And then for the longer strips, I do leave it so there's a border around the whole thing, because that will be the part that wraps around. But for these ones, you just need to make it match at the end. I do show you what I mean. So these ones, I mean, when I finish messing up, these ones just match, as you can see, like this, and then you can see the gold at either end, or either edge, sorry. The glue runner that I'm using here is from All Things Sticky. I'm not sure if I have a code for them, but I will have a look for you. They sent me some bits to try out and I absolutely love this glue runner. It's not like other ones that I've tried. It's all in sort of slightly individual sections, so it doesn't get jammed or stuck like others that I've used. This is what I mean, the longer one, I've left the edge at the end there as well. On to the handles at the top. These ones are teeny tiny. 2 gold ones, and then we are scoring 3/4 of an inch from each end. When I cut out the green pieces, they're actually not quite long enough, or one of them isn't quite long enough. As long as it goes over those score lines, I'm not too bothered, because the score lines up to there will be covered by the other straps on the bag. So as long as they cover those score lines enough to get glued down well, don't worry about it too much. And then I'm just doing the same as I did before and using that gold as a slight border. And then I do go ahead and grab out another American Crafts tool. This one is from the collab with Paige Evans, and it's for the Coptic bound books. It's like a Coptic book binding set. I love this. I love it for Coptic binding. I love it for just piercing holes in paper. Anything that you need to bind, anything that you need the holes spaced nicely, this is perfect. It does come with a little piercer. I seem to have just grabbed the nearest one on my desk, which isn't the one that matches, but it works nonetheless. But it does come with that, and then it comes with, I think, like some curved needles and things. All of the stuff you would need if you were making the little Coptic bound books. I've punched some holes in the dark green because I want to add some stitching onto these handles. I don't know why, I just think hand stitching is so pretty. So I go ahead on this one, I do a cross stitch, and I actually add some sequins to some of the stitches. I did make a second version of this, and I use, what stitch did we do for that one? I think maybe just a running stitch with some sequins on it, I believe. I'll have to have a look. I definitely have a photo of it. I think I show it at the end of the video. Well, I did slightly different stitching on that one, I'm sure. But still sequins, because I love how sequins look on stitching. I'm literally just adding a few random sequins that match and then going across. I go across all one way, like a forward slash, and then come all the way back along again. I do think I leave that in to show you the stitching process. And then yeah, just adding on sequins to some, leaving some plain so that when I come back the other way I can add sequins instead. This would look really cute with beads as well. I'm just using regular embroidery floss and a needle from my sewing kit. Nothing particularly fancy. I think the thread I bought on Amazon in a pack of like 100 colours or something. It's a huge pack, I've got so many of them left. And I just use a tiny bit each time. There we go, heading back the other way. And then I do show you, but I just go through a few of the stitches on the back and tie a knot to tie that one off. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring. She's laying on my lap while I voice over. She won't lay anywhere else. And she has started snoring, so there we go. Do I tie it off now, or I think I go back along and add some more crosses to fill in those gaps? Yes, there we go, I skip forward. And then go through some of the stitches on the back, tie a knot, and that is finished. I've only stitched through the green piece so that when I put it onto the gold, it won't show on the back. You won't see all of the messy stitching on the back there. I did use double-sided tape to stick this down. So I use the glue runner to adhere that little bit of extra thread. And then I use my 𝓚 tape. I probably could have used glue for this one, but I just wanted to make sure that all of the thread had some kind of adhesive on it, so it's less likely to come apart. And then I do go and curve the cardstock with my bone folder, That's the one from the cut and scoreboard, the one that comes with it. Peeling off the double-sided tape and then just sticking it onto that gold piece. There we go. And you can see this one's the one that was a little bit too short, but it does cover across those little score marks, so it should be fine. And I'm just making sure that it's definitely adhered on there, sorry. Curving the paper a bit more. And then we should be ready to assemble. I mean, there is another one to do, but I'm pretty sure I do it off camera. And then we can assemble all of our different suitcase straps. There we go, like magic, both done. I'm using the shorter piece that we cut, so it was 6 by something. I'm putting that on the front. So these ones go from the base, you can see there, up, and then they fold over the first box. I'm just going to eyeball how far they are from the edge, but you could definitely measure that if you want to. Using this tape runner again, I found the best way to do this to be to just stick it on the front and then curve it round and add your adhesive onto that bit afterwards. This also gives you an opportunity to add these little handles. The best way I found to do this was to add some glue onto that piece behind the score marks, so the piece I'm adding now, and then slide it underneath, stick it to that suitcase strap and then stick the whole thing down. That way it was just easier to place it. I didn't have to glue it to the suitcase and guess how far apart it needed to be. Again, I'm sure there's a maths way to do that that's way easier. But I'm more of a sort of stick it down and hope kind of a person. There we go, folding that one round. Working out where it goes underneath there. And then just gluing it down. There we go. This one needed a little bit of extra glue. I think I probably should have added some wet glue to that if I did it again. I think I would for some extra strength. But that is the front adhered, and then we are moving on to the back. So you need the longer strips. The piece where the gold is showing at the end, you can see that here, that's where you want to start. So I'm just working out how far down I want the strap to come. I'm just sort of measuring it against the previous one. I know I wanted it slightly higher. That's all the information that I have. I didn't measure this or anything, I just looked at it and decided that's where I wanted it. Held it in place, folded it so I could sort of see whereabouts it needed to go along the top and how long it would need to be at the back. This isn't an exact science for the size of this piece, it's easier to just trim it down at the end, I found with this one. And then once you've got those sort of bend marks in the card, you can go ahead and add that on. Helps you to place it and then cut off the excess card, which I do in the most awkward way. I don't know why I do that in such an awkward way. Then you could leave this top piece not adhered, but I don't know how you would stick down that little back handle. Maybe you would have to just stick that directly to the suitcase rather than to the strap. Or you could just stick it to the strap and have it lift up with both sides if you wanted to. So you can see it goes up with that side, it would be the same with the other one. If you didn't want to stick this down at the top, but I do decide to stick that down. Not both sides, because obviously you want your suitcase to open, but on the back side. Measuring this to make sure it's pretty much equal. Same technique as last time, just wrapping it around basically. I'm really excited to make a Valentine's version of this one. I got some really cute papers recently from the range that Chloe shared on her story, the Rainbow Crafter. She shared some really cute 12 by 12 paper pads from the range, and I ran out to grab one, and I think it would make such a cute suitcase. Yep. I have actually got a Valentine's swap that I'm crafting for at the moment. Is anyone else already into Valentine's, or are you all still Christmas crafting? Trimming this same as before, and then just adding on this strap. There we go. This was definitely a lot of fun to fill up. I do have a video, I did film packaging all the stuff to go inside it, so if you're interested in seeing that, do let me know. I have a really quick version of it over on Instagram. I could pop that on YouTube Shorts actually, so you can see it over here. I have a really quick version, but if you want to see like the long chatty process of that, do let me know. So you can see here how that would open up if you just left it as is. I think that would work just fine. I wanted to glue down just this piece that sort of holds it onto the back box. You'll see me do that momentarily. I've added too much glue, so I'm pulling out my trusty little unstick tool. This is an EK Success one, and it's just like a powder that makes it non-sticky. I think it's for embossing is its actual purpose, but I use it for making things unsticky. Then I wanted some kind of closure on this, and I decided on Velcro dots because I love a Velcro dot. These ones are really old. I think they're from, it's going to be either Temu or Amazon. I haven't bought some in such a long time, although actually I am running out of these, so I might have to find a new place to purchase some. I find the easiest way to do this to place one half, put the other half on top as if it was like closed, Velcro closed, and then close the straps, and then I know that it's in the perfect place. So I did add a Velcro dot on the top there. And then I add another one further down so that the straps are definitely secure. Takes me a moment, there we go. So put both halves on together as if they were Velcroed in place. And then when you stick them down, you get the perfect placement. 1 and 2. We're struggling with that one. Okay, there we go. And that is your suitcase complete, all finished, all assembled. You could decorate this 100 different ways. I have these rosettes that I made in a previous video, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted, the presents or the little house. I went back and forth, and I was going to come on and ask you guys what you thought. But actually, I ultimately decided on the present. So that's what ended up on here. So this one has a sleigh rosette on the front, same collection, just slightly different colours. And those are our little Christmas suitcases. I hope you have enjoyed hanging out and crafting with me, and I will be back to craft again with you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!